Alfonso runs away. Alfonso the cricket famously played his violin beautifully. He visited Berry, Balthazar and Stanley, who were tinkering with something in the meadow. "We're building a new playground," announced the stag beetle. "I've learnt a new piece. Will you listen?" asked Alfonso excitedly. "Maybe later. We're busy now," replied the bee. Alfonso moved on and visited Dolly. The ladybug was gardening around her house. Flutter and Leapy were helping her. "Hi there," greeted the cricket. "I've learnt a new piece. Will you listen?" "Maybe later. It's not a good time now. We're planting flowers," Dolly explained. Alfonso became sadder as he went on. He met Hedgehog Harry. "Hi, Harry. I've learnt a new piece. Will you listen?" But the hedgehog was busy too, carrying a pile of apples to Reggie Squirrel. Alfonso got angry. "I'm running away!" He burst out in despair, and with great fanfare he headed towards the forest. "Nobody cares about me," he grumbled to himself, and sadly sat down on a tree stump. The magpie was flying nearby, spotted the cricket from above, and flew over to him. "Why are you so sad?" she asked, concerned, and hugged Alfonso. "I've learnt a new piece, but nobody has time to listen. Everyone has more important things to do." He sniffled and buried himself in the magpie's embrace. "First, calm down. Come, I'll treat you to some snacks in my nest," suggested the magpie, and the cricket agreed. Meanwhile, the others noticed that the cricket was missing. "We must have hurt his feelings because we didn't listen to his new violin tune," regretted Berry. "We were completely absorbed in planting tulips. I wish we had paid attention," added Dolly. So Berry, Dolly, Flutter, Leapy, Stanley and Balthazar set off to find the cricket. They searched the forest, but found no trace. Suddenly, Berry exclaimed, "Shh! Psst! Do you hear that?" "What?" whispered Dolly. "Alfonso is playing the violin nearby," said the snail. They headed towards the sound and soon found themselves outside the magpie's nest. "We finally found you. We're sorry we didn't listen to you. We apologise," blurted out Flutter. "We came up with something you'll surely like," added Stanley. "The new playground will be ready next week. You could play your new piece at the opening ceremony," continued Balthazar. "Okay, that's a great idea." Alfonso lightened up. The playground was soon complete. The opening ceremony was a great success, attended by all the creatures of the forest. Alfonso received a huge applause, and after the violin performance, everyone happily took over the new slides, swings and climbing frames. January. Eddy and the toy car. The new year had arrived at last. The little friends were all at Stanley's house. The stag beetle proudly showed his friends the new toy cars he'd been given for Christmas. "The silver dump truck is my favourite. It's got big wheels, it goes fast. The doors open and you can tip the back up and down," he said with a smile. Let's build a track and drive all the cars around it, Eddy suggested. When the track was finished, they drove all the toy cars on it. Eddy really wanted to try the silver dumper truck, but Berry wouldn't let it go. When he eventually got bored, Leapy pounced on the super truck. Then Dolly took it after Leapy. Eddy only managed to get his hands on Stanley's dumper truck for a few minutes at the end of the day. He pushed it so hard that it rolled under the cupboard. Eddy reached under the cupboard to pull it out, but the wheel got stuck behind the cupboard leg, and it fell off. Eddy tried to push it back on, but it wouldn't turn after that. It started to get dark and the friends were getting tired. Eddy dared not tell the stag beetle that the dumper truck's wheel was broken. Instead, he put it back with all the other toy cars as if nothing had happened. They all said goodbye to Stanley and went home. Eddy soon got back to his house, but he could not get to sleep. He felt very bad about the dumper truck. He woke the next morning to the sound of shouting. Stanley was having an argument with Berry on the hill nearby. Berry, you've broken my toy car. It wasn't me. There was nothing wrong with it when I gave it to Leapy, the snail boy responded, sounding a little offended. Then I'll ask Leapy. Leapy, did you break the wheel on my dumper truck? No, of course not. It wasn't me, the grasshopper girl assured him. I gave it to Dolly. Ask her, Leapy suggested. And so the stag beetle set off to the ladybird girl's house. Eddy felt terrible because he was the one who'd broken the wheel on the dumper truck. Then he had an idea. He had an old and bashed up dumper truck a lot like Stanley's. He found it and hurried over to Flutter's house. Flutter, you've got some silver paint, haven't you? The silver's run out, but I've got some gold. Please help me, the potato beetle said, and he told Flutter the whole story. Flutter was happy to help. She painted the toy car, and it soon shined as bright as new. Thank you, Flutter, said Eddy, and he set off to give the reborn dumper truck to Stanley. When he arrived at Stanley's house, he was greeted by the sound of loud laughter. Did you manage to fix it? Yes, I bumped into Charlie at Dolly's house and I asked him to lend me a hand, Stanley said with a smile. Unfortunately, I never found out who broke the wheel. It was me, Eddy told him. I'm happy you managed to mend it, but I've brought you something too. Oh, that's super! Thank you, Stanley laughed. I'm not angry anymore. Do you want to join us? We're going to race with the toy cars. And the three boys set about building a track for the race. November. The Green Grub. November had arrived, the last month of autumn. The Green Grub decided to ask Dolly if he could spend the winter at her house. He knocked quietly on her door, but no one appeared. He knocked again. The ladybird girl eventually heard him and looked out. Hi, Grub. Hello, Dolly. I was wondering, he began, but Dolly interrupted him. I'm sorry, Grub, but I'm in a hurry. The great lightning beetle is coming to visit us soon, and we want to hold a concert in his honour. You can tell me when I come back, okay? Okay, the grub reluctantly agreed. He came back again the next day, but the ladybird girl still did not have time for him. She was practicing pretty music with Stanley and Alfonso. "Come in, Grub, we can talk after the rehearsal," Dolly offered. The Grub listened to the music for a little while, but it was too loud for him, so he left. He came again the next day, but the ladybird girl was not at home. He found a large leaf outside her house, and so he decided to lie on the leaf while he waited for her. He soon fell fast asleep and did not notice when the wind blew the leaf away. When he woke up, he was on the beach and a very long way from home. Dolly and her friends continued to practice on their instruments. By the time the great lightning beetle arrived, they were really ready and gave a perfect performance in honour of their friend in the Forest Concert Hall. Berry played the trumpet, Morris the horn, Frank the saxophone, Flutter the lyre, Bubble the triangle, Balthazar the zither, Rosita the xylophone, Eddy the cello, Stanley the double bass, Dolly the harp, Alfonso the violin. The ants played the flutes, Zephyr and Leapy the cymbals, Charlie the accordion, and the spider played the drums. The ladybird girl only remembered the Grub when the special guest left. "Where could the Grub be? It's all my fault if something bad has happened to him. I didn't notice him go. I should have listened to him." Dolly was very upset indeed. The wind saw her crying. "I should never have blown the leaf so far away," he thought to himself, and then he blew through the whole sky searching for the green Grub. He finally found him curled up on a seashell, so then he scooped up the shell with the Grub and blew it hard and fast back to the familiar forest. The ladybird girl was strolling sadly when she caught sight of her little friend. She ran over and hugged him at once. "I'm so pleased that you've come back and that you're okay. I've looked for you all over the place," Dolly stuttered. "I'm sorry I didn't listen to you. Now you can tell me what you wanted to say." "The winter's on its way, and I'd like to come and stay with you away from the cold." "Of course you can. This box will make a perfect bed. I'll put a soft pillow in it and a tiny blanket. You'll feel very comfortable, I promise."
The Windmill. One summer day, Berry and Dolly were playing badminton by the windmill. All of a sudden, they heard the sound of sobbing. "It's coming from the windmill," the snail boy said. They set off in the direction of the sound and soon arrived at the windmill. There they found the mill beetle sitting sobbing on the ground. "Why are you crying?" they asked him. "The storm damaged the mill sails. They're ruined and I can't mend them," the mill beetle complained. "Let's call the others here. Stanley's got a saw, Balthazar's got a hammer, and I'm sure we can all fix it together," Dolly proposed. "All right," the mill beetle sniffed. The ladybird girl flew off right away to tell her friends. Very soon, Stanley, Balthazar, Zephyr, Eddy, Bubble and Morris arrived. They all got hard to work fixing the broken sails. They worked hard for 2 long days and were eventually done by the end of the second day. Hooray! Just like new! The mill beetle cheered. I'll start the mill going again tomorrow, and I'll make flour and bake fresh bread for you all. But the next day did not begin well at all. The wind had no intention of blowing, and the sails of a windmill cannot go round without wind. The mill beetle started to cry again. All right, OK, please don't cry. We'll push it a little and maybe a breeze will blow up, Stanley suggested, and all the others agreed. 7 of them pushed the 6 sails. Stanley, Balthazar, Bubble, Berry, Eddy, Zephyr and Morris. They pushed it around and around, but they soon got tired. There's never going to be any bread, the mill beetle moaned. I'll go and tell the wind to blow, Zephyr announced as she flew high up into the sky. She spoke politely to the wind. Dear wind, please blow for us a bit, because the windmill sails won't go round and it's making the mill beetle cry. This surprised the wind, and he muttered something to himself before flying lazily downwards. He took a deep breath and began to blow the windmill's sails. The mill started to move and work once more. The mill beetle filled the hopper and the millstones ground the wheat into the finest flour. The white flour began to form an impressive heap. The windmill sails went around and around and did not stop until the grasshopper girl signalled to the wind. Thank you, that was just enough, she said with a grateful smile, and the wind flew back up into the sky. When the flour was ready, the mill beetle began to prepare the bread dough. He put the loaf into the oven and waited patiently for it to bake. When it was golden brown all over, he took it out and cut it into thick slices. They spread the bread with butter and jam and feasted until every last crumb had been gobbled up. Sunflowers. Berry and Dolly planted sunflower seeds in the spring and watered the seeds until little shoots soon appeared. The shoots grew into little plants that grew into big plants. Then buds appeared that opened into lovely yellow flowers in the summer. Hooray! The friends cheered when they saw the lovely flowers. Berry noticed that the flowers pointed one way in the morning and another in the afternoon. Look, Dolly, they're turning their heads. That's because they always turn to face the sun. That's why they're called sunflowers. When the sun went down, the sunflowers hung their heads and went to sleep. All the forest friends were woken the next morning by shouts of panic. Oh dear, what's happened? Our lovely sunflowers, Dolly cried. Who could have done such a terrible thing? Berry wept. Someone has chewed through the stems of our sunflowers. Flutter washed their wounds with fresh dew, and Dolly bandaged them all with soft blades of grass. The sunflowers slowly started to smile again. The friends all gathered in Balthazar's house to decide what to do next. What are we going to do? Berry sobbed. Someone needs to stand guard at night. I'll go first, said Dolly bravely. The little ladybird hid quietly behind the bush and kept a close eye on the sunflowers. She didn't have to wait for very long. A hamster soon appeared and started to chew at the stems of the sunflowers.
Dolly jumped out from her hiding place and shouted, "Shoo!" This surprised the hamster and he ran away. He didn't come back again that night. Flutter guarded the sunflowers the next night, and then Balthazar, and then Stanley. Soon it was Berry's turn. The little snail hid quietly behind the bush and waited. He waited and waited until he eventually fell asleep. He wasn't even woken by the sound of the hamster chewing at the sunflower stems. "Oh dear, I must have fallen asleep. I didn't guard the sunflowers," Berry sobbed when he saw the sadly sagging sunflowers the following morning. "Berry fell asleep. He slept while the hamster chewed the stems again." "Why do you all look so sad?" asked Dr. Owl. Dolly told him what had happened to the sunflowers. "I think you should talk to the hamster. Ask him not to hurt the sunflowers," Dr. Owl suggested. "There he is. He's asleep in the bush," Berry whispered to the others. The noise woke the sleeping hamster. The hamster looked scared of the friends and the friends felt frightened of the hamster. "There's no need to be scared of us. We just wanted to ask you not to chew our sunflowers." "But then what will I eat?" the hamster told them. "We'll bring you plenty of apples and carrots to nibble on. Where do you live?" the little snail asked. "I haven't got a house of my own," the hamster said sadly. "You haven't got a house?" Balthazar repeated in surprise. "Then we'll build you one." Dolly brought apples, Berry brought seeds, Flutter brought raisins, Balthazar brought dandelion leaves and Stanley brought carrots. "My new house is really super," the hamster said with a cheery smile. "And thank you so much for all the yummy food." The hamster never chewed the sunflower stems again, and they smiled happily at Berry and Dolly and all their friends for the rest of the summer.